All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Mile High County College Football Podcast. This is episode 5, but we're going to be doing stuff a little differently this week. We're going to record 2 episodes this week at separate times, so it's Tuesday like usual. We're recording our usual Tuesday episode while watching the rankings. Unfortunately, we have to wait for this Michigan State and Kentucky basketball game to get over that. It's currently in the second overtime.
It's fantastic.
Good game, but...
We're trying to see the rankings.
Yeah, we're trying to see the rankings. So how this is gonna work out is we're gonna record this episode on Tuesday. We're gonna watch the rankings show like we have been, kind of do like the live reaction, talk about our own rankings, talk about Heisman, and since it's getting to the end of the year, talk about playoff scenarios. And then we're gonna record an episode later in the week, maybe Friday, maybe Thursday, Friday, probably.
Yeah. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, Wednesday, who knows? And just talk about like last week, like the recap, like we usually do, and talk about the upcoming week, and do our other things like such as biggest spread, super dogs, hot takes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we got 2 minutes. Oh, that dude's down. We got 2.5 minutes left in this game, 1-point game. Hopefully it'll be over soon, and the ranking show can come on. Till then, we can start talking about our own stuff. I'll go ahead and get started. Oh, actually, hold on. I want to do this real quick. I want to say hearts out to the Virginia football community. Tragic passing of 3 football players. I personally know people that knew one of them, played with him in high school, and stuff like that. Just tragic accident. Tragedy in general. And I just want to say prayers and hearts out to those families and friends of those players, and the Virginia football community. But into the rankings, I don't think I have a shakeup compared to last week. Let's see. I have Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4, Tennessee 5, which is the same top 5 as last week. I have LSU at 6 now. Wow. Never mind. Okay. LSU at 6, Southern Cal at 7, Clemson at 8, Alabama at 9, Utah at 10.
Okay. So, I had no changes in my top 5. I had Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, TCU, Tennessee. I had Southern Cal at 6 and LSU at 7. And then I have Clemson, Alabama, and then I have North Carolina in my top 10.
Okay. And then going from 11 to 25, and I guess usually we speed run this, but I guess since we got a little bit of time, I can kind of go slower here. 11, Oregon, 12, North Carolina, 13, Washington, 14, Penn State, 15, Ole Miss, 16, Central Florida, that's my highest group of 5 team, 17, Kansas State, 18, UCLA, 19, Florida State, 20, Notre Dame, Texas 21, Tulane 22, and then I think these last 3 teams, I know 2 of them are at least new entries into my top 25. Let me see if, I don't think I had this team right. Okay, so 23 through 25 are new entries for me. At 23, I have Cincinnati, 24, Coastal Carolina, and 25, Florida.
That is interesting. I like that.
I mean, their 3 losses right now are to...
They got 4 losses.
Oh, sorry, 4 losses, sorry. Are to LSU. 3 of their 4 losses is what I was trying to say, but it didn't come out that way. LSU, Tennessee, and Georgia, who are 3 teams I have in my top 6.
They beat Utah.
They beat Utah, who is also in my top 10, and that was like the big factor that put them into there at 25. And then their 4th loss is to Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
I have Utah 11, Ole Miss 12. I have Washington 13 and Oregon 14. I just couldn't put Oregon over Washington.
Reasonable.
I have Penn State 15, UCLA 16, Florida State 17. I also have UCF as the highest ranked group of 5 at 18. Notre Dame 19, Kansas State 20, Coastal Carolina 21, Cincinnati 22, Tulane 23, Oregon State 24, and Oklahoma State squeaks in at 25.
Yeah, I was struggling at that 25 spot because there was multiple teams I thought about: Florida, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, and ultimately it just came down to quality for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like having three very quality losses for Florida, and then a very quality win for Florida.
I didn't really think about Florida, to be honest.
Whereas Oregon State and Oklahoma State, I mean, if I had, I'd probably put Oklahoma State over Oregon State, just especially because I just had Oregon State in there 2 to 3 weeks ago, and they lost as soon as I put them in there.
Who's Florida beat? They beat Missouri. They beat South Carolina. They beat Utah, Texas A&M. Then a couple of cupcakes.
I think I would say at least one of
those. They beat Vandy.
I would say another one is probably like some out of conference.
They beat USF.
Yeah, South
their
Florida.
6th win.
And South Florida has like 2 wins.
I mean, that's not a horrible.
No.
I mean, they beat A&M on the road.
Yeah, which is hard.
Yeah.
They destroyed South Carolina, who's been pretty decent.
What'll be a factor for Florida is they finished the year with Florida State, and Florida State's been playing really, really well.
I mean, that offense, that's something that we'll talk about or at least I'll talk about in the next episode, is that offense has been crazy.
So is the defense.
Yeah, I mean, what was it this week? 45-3, or was that last week?
That was this week, and then they won last week, like 38-3.
Yeah. Then we'll move into Heisman. Again, I'm sorry for doing this. The past couple weeks, I've hyped up Bo Nix for no reason. I've hyped up Bo Nix for fun.
Well, he played well.
He did play well.
I still got him in my top 10.
But I still have him in my top 10, but I put him back to reality.
Yeah.
One, C.J. Stroud.
If he performs against Michigan, he's winning it.
Yeah. 2, and this guy, if he performs against Ohio State, he has a chance to win it as Blake Corum. 3 is Caleb Williams. 4 is Drake May. 5, Hendon Hooker. 6 is Bo Nix. 7 is Stetson Bennett. 8, Max Duggan. 9, Bryce Young. 10, Bijan Robinson. And Bijan had a very bad game Saturday, but it's just so hard to drop him out.
Jaden in your top 10?
I dropped him out.
Okay, I have the same top 3. I have C.J. Stroud. I have Blake Corum. I have Caleb Williams. I have Stetson Bennett at 4.
They fouled him.
I'm biased, but
he
he didn't have a great game against Mississippi State, but he did have a good game.
Yeah.
Drake May at 5, Hendon Hooker 6, Max Duggan 7, Bryce Young 8, Bo Nix 9, and Jaden Daniels at 10. I got a lot of quarterbacks. It's not fun, but it's realistic.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put a tie at 10. Bijan Robinson / Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
Because I was sitting there like writing this down, and I'm like, wow, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks out of 9 players so far.
I think the only defensive player that would have somewhat of a case is Jalen Carter at Georgia.
And he's been
hurt.
Injured, yep.
Yeah, when he's been healthy, he's been the best defensive player in the country.
He has. He definitely has. And that's something I say a lot is his draft stock. I mean, his draft stock was already high. Yeah. His draft stock's got even bigger.
He'll be the first defensive player.
There's a lot of people now that think not only will he be the first defensive player off the board, you can see him take a Trayvon Walker type jump and be a first overall pick or a second overall pick.
Georgia will probably have 2 of the first 3 defensive players taken.
Yeah. Well, Keely Ringo's fallen a little bit.
Has he?
Yeah, Keely Ringo's fallen a little bit.
I think he'll go back up after the combine.
But Drake May, I think, is probably my most interesting player so far. Drake May has all the stats in the world, and Carolina's winning, but just because I feel like Carolina's not a big market team, he hasn't got the big attention that he would if he was somewhere else.
It's not just that. They're beating bad teams by 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I didn't jolt UNC up really any. I think I had them at 13 last week, maybe 14.
I'm kind of putting them at 10 for fun. I think Utah beats them. I think Ole Miss beats them. I think Washington and Oregon beat them.
Yeah, I had UNC at 14.
Well, it looks like Michigan State is going to get the win.
Yeah. I'm trying to look who my biggest jump maybe was. I didn't drop some of these teams that lost too far. Tulane only dropped 6. Texas only dropped 4. Let's see. NC State I dropped out. Liberty I dropped out. Sorry to Liberty, but they lost to UConn. I know UConn
eligible.
UConn has not been UConn this year. They've been a lot better. And shout out my boy Brady who plays there.
Shout out Jim Moore, the head coach.
But yeah, you lost to UConn. I'm sorry. Illinois lost again. Something we'll cover in the next episode. So I had to drop them out. Oh, that's who got my biggest jump for sure. Washington jumped 10 spots.
I'll see how high Washington jumped for me. I had them at 13 this week. Last week I had them at 21. So yeah, that's
I had them at 23 to 13. Yeah.
My farthest faller, Oregon.
See that, and now that when you said something about, and I'm with you on that usually. Like I feel like the team, if they just beat them, should be above them or whatever, you know. But. Yeah. I had Oregon at 6 last week, and it's hard to drop them when I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is something that we'll probably talk about more in the actual recap from the game. But I think if Oregon doesn't go for that 4th and 1,
they win that game.
They win that game.
But they did.
Yeah.
You know. It's kind of like saying where would Washington be if they didn't lose to Arizona State, but they did.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I have 18 seconds left in this game. Michigan State is up 6, and they're getting the ball. Hopefully Kentucky doesn't foul.
But they will.
Yeah.
Oh, good pass. So how many teams realistically have a chance to make the college football playoff?
Right now, I'm going to say approximately 10.
Name your 10.
Well, okay. We have the obvious, 6.
In my opinion,
7.
Georgia and Ohio State are in no matter what. I think Ohio State could lose to Michigan and still make it.
Okay. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, LSU, Southern Cal. I think are your obvious 7.
And Clemson is that's 8. That's your obvious 8.
Okay. But I still think that one of these Pac-12 teams like Utah, Oregon, or Washington has a small shot at making it.
I don't think a 2-loss Pac-12 champ makes it.
Okay. And honestly, a lot of people are not doubting or doubting this. I think UNC still has a shot to make it.
It would take chaos.
A 1-loss ACC champion.
Well, here's what would have to happen for UNC to make it, okay? Georgia and Ohio State have to win.
Yeah.
TCU and USC both have to lose. It would take UNC beating Clemson.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It would take Tennessee losing to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And it would take Alabama losing to Auburn.
Yeah.
For UNC to make it.
So while we're talking about this, something I want to incorporate also, I asked, are you kidding me? Did they really just foul?
They fouled.
Wow. Okay, Kentucky. I put this up on my Instagram story, and just kind of said, drop me and Jacob some questions for our college football podcast. I'm going to try to do 2 a week, 1 per episode. So
people asked?
Yeah. Okay. So my question is for this episode is for my boy Cade. Cade asked, and this is kind of a broad question. I don't know what sense it could be. I feel like it could be in 2 senses, but he just said, does TCU make the top 4? So I feel like there's in 2 senses, right? Does TCU make it the top 4 this week? 100% yes.
100%.
That's an obvious. But does TCU make the top 4 at the end of the year? And it's I want to say yes, right? But it's just the Big 12 has been chaos this year. And I honestly, the past couple years, except for Oklahoma, past couple years, we've seen where these Big 12 teams have a chance in that final week, in that conference championship week, and they lose, and they don't get it.
I think TCU will be 12-0 going into the Big 12 title.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think they will beat Baylor, and I think they will beat Iowa State. However, if they play Kansas State again, it could be different this time.
Or, well, if Adrian Martinez is healthy.
Well, if Adrian Martinez is healthy.
Because,
Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that the Big 12 title would be Kansas State versus TCU?
man.
They were both like sleepers. Like there were people picking one of them to make it, but both of them is kind of funny.
Yeah. Who was the Texas?
Texas and Oklahoma were the two. Yeah, they were the two favorites, betting favorites, and then it was Oklahoma State and Baylor, and then it was Kansas State. I think TCU was like 8th.
I can see it.
But I'm gonna say that the TCU wins out. I'm gonna say that TCU. Now, my opinion by conference championship week might change, but as of December 15th? No, November 15th.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that TCU will be in the college football playoff. I don't know if they will be 3 or 4 because if it would depend on who goes and who doesn't. Because I think if they put Tennessee in, they wouldn't put Tennessee against Georgia in the first round.
No. And that's the other thing is it's just like, I mean, okay, the past couple of years, right? Every year, there's been multiple scenarios at this point in the year. But I feel like this year
there's a lot.
Is like OD. Like there's so okay, thank God the show is finally coming on. But yeah, I feel like there's so many possibilities right now. Like it's insane.
Yeah. I mean a very likely scenario. Well, in my opinion, if USC and TCU win out, I think those two teams control their own destiny. I think if all of the favorites win out, it would be Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, and USC.
Yeah.
But probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the first one missing, I think that Michigan's resume is not good enough to get in the playoff without beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State's resume is good enough to get in the playoff without beating Michigan, though, because they have that win over Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And they beat Penn State on the road. So, I think if you're a Tennessee fan, if you're a Clemson fan, you have to be rooting for Ohio State. You have to be rooting for Georgia, because if LSU beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, that just throws everything out of whack.
Yeah.
Because then LSU's got to be in, which knocks Tennessee out.
So, as a Georgia fan, right, what is your dream for? Obviously, Georgia won.
I'd say Georgia. I'll be honest, I really want to play Ohio State. Not because I think we're going to kill them. I think as a national championship matchup, I don't want them in the first round. But in the Natty, I want Ohio State. I want Georgia, Ohio State. I want. Can I pick the matchups that I want?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want you to say I want Georgia 1. I want X 2. I want Y 3.
I want Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Tennessee 3, TCU 4.
Okay.
Because I think Georgia beats TCU.
Yeah.
And I think Ohio State and Tennessee would be a really fun matchup.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see Ohio State in the Natty. I said before the year that I thought that was going to be the Natty, and I think that'd be a fun matchup in the national championship.
Yeah. By the way, the playoff ranking show came on. They said about 3 words, and it immediately went to commercial. We have
we got minute 40.
Minute 40 till it comes back from commercial. Hopefully, they'll start popping up rankings as soon as they come back on. I'd say my dream
As a Clemson fan?
as a Clemson fan, obviously, it's not gonna happen. But who do y'all play this week?
Is it Georgia?
Yeah.
Kentucky.
And then who do y'all have after that?
Georgia Tech.
Well, my dream scenario would start with Georgia losing to Kentucky and Georgia Tech, and then losing the SEC championship, so they wouldn't be in there. Because that's the team I least would want to see.
And then Ohio State losing to Michigan and whoever they play this week.
Yeah. No, I want Ohio State. I want to get our face back for that Justin Fields game.
It's been a tough ask this year.
Yeah. They're really good. I mean, I don't know, but
as a Georgia fan, I'm not a fan of them, but this year they're really good.
I mean, obviously, it's you can't root against your team, right? So obviously, I would want Clemson in there. However, I just don't think that we fare well with some of the teams that would also be in there.
Of the playoff teams that are like realistic, who do you think y'all would beat? And you can throw a hot take in there as a fan. As a fan,
I think we would fare well against LSU and TCU in Southern Cal.
I can agree with that.
I'm not saying that we would necessarily beat them, but I think we definitely stand a chance against those three.
I think Clemson and Southern Cal would be a really fun game.
And hear me out, right? I think we would beat Michigan right now.
Y'all play similarly.
I think y'all and Ohio State would beat us, and I think Tennessee would be a toss up because if Tennessee's offense is rolling, we got no chance.
Yeah.
But I think if our defense could do what y'all's defense did to their offense, I think that.
What about Alabama?
Bryce Young's playing like he has been. We win that game. But if Bryce Young is Bryce Young, I don't know. I think that we would score a decent amount of points on them. I think we would beat Utah. I think we would beat Oregon.
What about North Carolina? I mean, we're gonna see.
I've been saying this. I actually don't know. I don't know if we can beat North Carolina.
North Carolina is like a Walmart, Tennessee.
I think we'd beat Washington. I'm not gonna keep going because everybody else behind there, I think we'd beat.
Except for Notre Dame.
Yeah, except for Notre Dame, obviously. I actually think Florida would give us a game. I think Florida and Texas would give us a game.
What about Coastal Carolina?
Yeah. Yeah, Coastal Carolina would give Clemson a game.
Hey, Florida State gave y'all a game for a second.
What are we talking about? Like, right? Why are we showing a hype
montage?
Can I see the rankings? Oh my God, we gotta talk to Kirk Herbstreit. Obviously, I want Clemson in there, but Clemson not being in there, right? I'm gonna put it like that. Clemson not being in the playoffs.
Okay.
25. Oh, never mind. Just kidding. I want to see y'all play Southern Cal. Actually,
I wouldn't mind seeing Southern Cal
in the first round. I think that'd be a good game. Actually, I think Southern Cal would give out a better game than TCU would.
I think that they'd give us a better game than TCU. I think we'd score.
And then I want to see Ohio State and Tennessee play each other.
I do too.
And then I'd probably y'all on Ohio State. Okay, here we go. Cincinnati 25, NC State. Come on, man.
We sound like such haters, but like
NC State stays in. Y'all lost to Boston College without Phil Jerkovich. NC State 24. Oregon State's in the rankings at 23. Oklahoma State's in the rankings at 22. Tulane is at 21.
Pac-12 getting another. That's 5 teams that'll be ranked in the Pac-12.
So that's 3 new entries here in the back end of the top 25. Cincinnati being at 25, Oregon State at 23, Oklahoma State at 22. Gives Cincinnati a little bit more hope now.
Hey, as a Clemson fan, that's big.
Yeah, I know it is.
For NC State to be in there. Because Syracuse isn't going to be in there.
No, I know. But Cincinnati being at 25 is interesting as they play Tulane not this week, but the next week. And something that we're going to talk about in the next episode.
All right.
Is,
so the next.
Yeah, go ahead.
UCF at 20, Florida State 19, Notre Dame is at 18, Washington up to 17, a little low in my opinion, and UCLA at 16. So UCLA doesn't drop too far ahead of their matchup with USC, which will be huge for their resume. USC's next 2 games are against, USC.
Yeah.
USC's next 2 games will be against
UCLA.
UCLA and Notre Dame, who are both in the top 20.
I think both are at home.
They are no. Well, UCLA's at UCLA, but
Yeah.
it's still in LA.
But I'm pretty
Notre
sure
Dame
Notre
is
Dame is at USC. 15 Kansas State, 14 Ole Miss, 13 North Carolina, Oregon is at 12, and Penn State's at 11.
That's big for Michigan and Ohio State. That's big for the loser of that game. That Penn State is that high, and to be honest, Penn State might deserve it. I've got Penn State at 15, but they have been taking care of their business lately.
No, they have, and they lost to 2 teams in the top 3.
Yeah. Well, better be in the top 3.
Probably in the top 3, at least top 5. I mean, they look
but
good.
But they did get donkey stomped.
They did beat. That was Maryland they played, right?
And they killed them.
They beat Maryland pretty well, but it was raining the whole time, and Maryland couldn't get their pass game going. That's all I'm going to say about that, though.
Weather's weather.
Real quick, I guess, before they pop 10 up, what I was going to finish saying about Cincinnati is Cincinnati, not this week, but next week, gets Tulane. So, Cincinnati wins that game. Utah's at 10.
As they probably should be. Utah's still alive in the Pac-12 race.
Yeah, they are.
And they get Oregon this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big game. 10 versus 12.
I'm going to try to get this out real quick. But Cincinnati has Tulane next week. They win that game. They're in the American Championship. They beat UCF. They go to that Group of 5 bowl game probably. That's why I'm saying it's big for them.
Do they? What if Coastal's sitting there at 12-1? So Clemson is at 9. That's probably not a good thing. The thing is you guys will be playing in a game during a week that Alabama's not.
I wish I had my phone right now so I could show the camera a picture.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen that picture of that dog? It's like,
yeah.
That's what I'm trying. That's my face right now.
I will give the committee a little bit of grief.
I get it. They beat a ranked team this week. We beat Louisville.
The 14th team.
Yeah, we beat Louisville.
Okay, so Bama is at 8. Now, number 7 is interesting.
Yeah, 7 is going to be interesting.
Will it be LSU or will it be Southern Cal? I think it's going to be LSU. LSU barely won.
Yeah.
But their resume is also better than Southern Cal's. Now, Southern Cal is going to have their chance.
Speaking of Southern Cal, I mentioned very briefly, just for fun, last week, I was like, does Southern Cal struggle with Colorado? Because we say that Southern Cal never actually blows anybody out. And this man right here, on Friday night, calls me and goes, Southern Cal might be in trouble.
Well, they were losing in the second quarter, or close in the second quarter.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And I didn't even look at anything, right? And then I look at it about 10 to 15 minutes later.
And they're blowing them out. And
they're up 26-3. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble.
It's Colorado.
It is Colorado.
The worst team in the Power 5. And it's not even close.
What time is it right now?
It is 10:07.
Okay, because it says Duke and Kansas is tip-off at 10:24. So that's probably when this will go off. But we just need to see 1 through 7, and that's all we need.
Okay, it's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, Southern Cal, LSU.
I'm flipping Southern Cal LSU. I think they keep LSU at 6. Wait, they were 6 last week, right? Or were they 7?
LSU was 7 last week.
Okay, I just think they.
Okay, so just show it to us. Georgia 1.
Yep.
Ohio State 2.
Yep.
No need to hurry.
Yeah, keep it moving. Go ahead and show us 2 through 4 right now. 2 through 5, actually.
Yeah, come on. Okay, Ohio State at 2. Yep. Michigan at 3.
I wonder if there's anything that could warrant Michigan hopping Ohio State without Ohio State losing. You know what I mean?
No.
You don't think so? After the Northwestern week, I don't think there is. Because Michigan plays, I think. Who do they play this week? I actually don't know.
What if they put Tennessee above TCU just because Tennessee blew Missouri out, even though
No.
TCU just okay, good.
Yeah,
TCU is at 4. Now let's go ahead and see it. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Ohio State plays Maryland this week. I don't think Maryland's that bad. I just think that the weather messed them up on Saturday against Penn State.
I'm so sick of hearing Ohio State fans complain about the weather. They should have been able to lean on Northwestern. It's okay that they played bad. It's fine. Georgia played bad against Missouri, but you just got to be able to admit it.
Yeah. Hey, we played bad against Notre Dame.
You did play bad against Notre Dame.
The difference is, but you and Ohio State won those games. We lost.
Well, Ohio State and Georgia are just so good this year that they can play a D+ game and still win.
Yeah.
Granted, we also had our D+ game against Missouri and Northwestern. Okay, stop stalling.
I think it's going to be LSU 6, Southern Cal 7.
The thing is, either way, it'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as a Georgia fan, I've gotten to the point where I don't even care about my resume, the boost anymore, just because we're not going to need it. If we beat LSU and if we beat Kentucky and Vandy, we're in. If LSU beats us by 100.
You mean Kentucky and Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
So LSU is at 6.
Okay. Southern Cal.
And Southern Cal will be at 7. Interesting, but you know what's not interesting? Oh, never mind, I forgot. Clemson was at 9. I was going to say, I've called the whole top 10 correct. But I didn't. Just had Clemson and Alabama mixed up. So, 2 weeks out. Well, 3 technically, I guess. Because
3 weeks out.
3 weeks out because of conference championship week, but 2 weeks left in the regular season. My question to you is, to wrap this up, the 4 teams sitting in the top 4, how many of those teams actually make the playoff?
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough.
I'll let you think about it for a minute. I already have my answer.
Go ahead.
And this is probably taking the easy way out. I'm gonna say 2. I think it's Georgia, and I think one of those 2, Ohio State, Michigan, make it. Unfortunately for TCU, I don't think TCU makes it, and I don't think the loser of Ohio State, Michigan makes it.
I'm gonna say 3.
Okay.
I think if Michigan beats Ohio State's in, and I think TCU can win out.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, you think all 4 of the top 4 teams currently could still make it?
I think they could.
Okay.
But I think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan, depending on the weather.
Depending on the weather, yeah. So anything else you want to add?
No, not tonight.
So we appreciate y'all watching. I hope y'all like the new format.
A little shorter.
Yeah, a little shorter. Trying to keep it a little shorter. We had 33 minutes, so
Okay.
about 35 minutes for this episode, and then the other episode will probably be maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah,
possibly.
It's cupcake week for a lot of schools.
And again, like I said, next episode we'll be recapping last week. We'll be looking for this upcoming week. We'll do our super dog, biggest spread, and hot takes of the week. Appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace out.